Hello and welcome to another Synergy Studio video. Today we're featuring the Pilates circle, and Elise will be demonstrating a series of exercises that you can do at home with the Pilates circle. We'll be using the UltraFit circle that's manufactured by Balanced Body Pilates today. Elise is going to start off in her supine position, and she's going to show us how we find neutral pelvis to kind of warm us up and get us going. We're going to start with a deep breath in, and with an exhale tilt the pelvis towards the shoulders, and with an inhale tilt the pelvis away from the shoulders. And you might notice that Elise is not using a lot of leg work to get this going. She's using a lot of abdominal work, which we can see by the change in the wrinkles of her shirt. The deeper the wrinkles go, the more muscle fibers she's recruiting as she gets that thought of drawing the back of her belly button deeper into the center of her body with the goal of reaching it all the way back towards the middle back in her lower back, or the middle of her lower back bones. So she's just rocking and rolling nice and easy on the pelvis. That warms up the spine, warms up the breath, but now we're going to just make those rocks a little smaller until we define neutral. And neutral is not only a little space between your lower back and the mat, but it's also a place where you feel that some of that lower abdominal tightening is happening even when you are in your rested position or you're not moving the arms and legs. So what we're going to do is start right away to work with the ring, and we're going to place the ring between the thighs. Now, an important thing to notice, you've got little handles on the outside of the ring. You want to make sure that those are contacting your thighs and you're not just squeezing on the bare ring itself. You want to make sure that those handles are on a part of the thigh where you're not pushing directly into bone. Now we're going to do a movement called your adductor squeeze. Your adductors are your inner thighs, and we want to keep the pelvis in its neutral position. We've already established that. We're going to take a breath in to prepare, and we're going to exhale, and we're going to squeeze into that ring. So there's those inner thighs working, and then as you inhale, you open. Those inner thighs are still working to press into the handles that are touching the thighs. So you're building up the tension in the ring as you squeeze the ring, and you are controlling that tension as you roll back out. All of that is very important because that works the muscle completely as it shortens and as it lengthens. And you're also coordinating the abdominal work that you need to keep your pelvis from moving. We want it to stay in its neutral. We want the right side of the pelvis to stay as steady as the left side of the pelvis, so that the right inner thigh can work just as hard as the left inner thigh. We're going to do one more repetition with the ring between the thighs. You can do anywhere from 5 to 8 perfect repetitions with this. And then we're going to take the ring out and place the legs through the ring. Again, looking for 5 to 8 perfect repetitions as we work the opposite muscle group, always looking for balance in the body. We're going to work the abductors now, and the pelvis is in its neutral. We're going to exhale to press out into the ring, and then inhale to bring the legs back in. It's a smooth, rhythmic motion. Should take just as long to push out as it does to return back in. So those outer thigh muscles continue to work even though the legs come back to center. This is pretty counterintuitive. You're going to have to work to keep the pressure between the outer thigh and the inner handle of the ring as you return back in. Once you've completed your perfect repetitions, perfect meaning you're staying connected to the ring, you're staying in neutral, you're keeping your breath deep and even, then you will take the ring out from the outside of the thighs. We're going to place it back on the inside of the thighs, but this time the legs are up in the air. So that means that the curve of the lower back that we worked hard to establish is going to be flattened, and this is our imprinted spine. Now in this position, more lower abdominal work is required to support the legs. We take a breath in, exhale, squeeze, just as we did with the feet down, and inhale, we're again resisting against the ring as we open, just as we did with the feet down. You're keeping those inner thigh muscles working throughout the motion. You're keeping your lower abdominals working throughout the motion, so there is less opportunity to relax either muscle group. This action may take those shoulders into action and may make you want to lift your shoulders up to your ears, but make sure that those shoulders stay at the optimal distance away from the earlobes. Fingers reaching long along the mat. We're going to do one more repetition here with the squeeze, and then we're just going to hold the ring. Now, if at this point your inner thighs are just screaming at you, go ahead and take the ring out, place it to the side, but continue along with us. We're going to spread the arms out wide to the side, getting ready for a twist, keeping both shoulder blades on the mat. We're going to twist to the side with an inhale. And then we're going to roll back to center with the exhale. Now this is work for your abdominals as well as your inner thighs. We're not doing as much of a squeeze into the ring. You can add a little extra squeeze as you exhale and bring yourself back to center. But I want you really thinking about how the abdominals are doing the work to control the weight of the legs. The legs actually act as dumbbells in this exercise. So as you return from your twist, she's twisting to the left here, she's going to think about her right shoulder blade, the right ribs, the right waist, and then finally the right pelvis, and lastly the legs. And then as we twist here, we're thinking about the left shoulder blade, bringing it back down to the mat, the back of the left rib cage, the left waist, the left pelvis, and then finally the legs. And inhale to the left. Exhale, think about bringing the right side of the body, the back of the body back down to the mat. Inhale as you twist to the right. Exhale, thinking about the left side of the body and bringing it down to the mat. Pause in the center, take the ring out from between the legs, take a breath in, and as you exhale, lower one leg at a time, touching toe, ball of the foot, heel, replacing the ring between the thighs, or again, if those thighs are a little bit tuckered out, you can keep your ring still at the side, but follow along with the bridging exercise. We're going to take a breath in. We're going to exhale and begin the movement from the pelvis, lifting through the tailbone and the sacrum and peeling through that lower back, feeling your lowest rib lift, and then each rib lifting one at a time until the weight's just between the shoulder blades. At this point, reach the knees as long as you can away from the hips to create a very open front of the hip. Take a breath in, and then exhale and roll back down, starting between those shoulder blades and continuing rib by rib, rolling through the lower back, lastly through the pelvis. So on the lift, we begin with the pelvis and exhale to tighten up, drawing that belly button in deeply, or imagining that you're zipping the zipper on a tight pair of pants. And as you descend, you're going to start with the last vertebrae that you lift, keeping those lower vertebrae up in the air as long as possible, creating a feeling of stretch through your back and along your spine. And we're going to do one more just with the spine as our focus. We're working on mobility, the abdominal work. So the abdominals are doing the bulk of the control and the manipulation of the spine to move through the movement. Now we're going to add an extra challenge. We're going to peel up into the bridge position the same way that we've been doing, starting with the tailbone, working through very tight around the waist, but we're going to challenge the abdominals even more by lifting or straightening one leg, by lifting the foot and straightening at the knee. So you prepare the left side to take all the body weight, straighten out at that right knee while you're adding the squeeze into the ring so the inner thighs are working to help you stay lifted, both sides of the pelvis even. Inhale as you bend the knee, placing the foot down, toe ball of the foot heel, and again on the other side, exhaling to straighten the knee and inhaling to bend, taking that moment to make sure that you've got all your weight in that right leg, the right hips are working. Good. Inhale and bend the knee. And lower back down, bone by bone. Adding one set of straightening at the right leg and straightening at the left leg is sufficient to add quite a punch to your workout. If you want to do another set and you feel like you can keep good form, that's fine. Try to keep it to just one knee straightening on the right, one knee straightening on the left. Now we're going to take the ring out and we're going to bring the Bosu into the picture and get on our tummies and work through the back of the thighs again. It's a lot of work for the hamstrings. So we're going to place the ring between the lower legs and just making sure that you've got, again, the handles on a place that's not just the inside of the ankle bone. So in this position, we're lifting the belly up and away from the Bosu and really pulling those ribs together. We have to consider the shoulder blades here, gliding the shoulder blades down and in on the back of the rib cage. And just the squeeze of the ring in this position is quite a bit of work, as Elise could attest to. You're going to take a breath in. You're going to exhale and squeeze the ring a little harder and lift those legs, really reaching them long to the end of the mat, and inhale and lower. You won't be able to go very far because the ring's going to touch the mat. The lift is coming from the back of the thighs. The support for your torso is coming from that deep abdominal ring of muscles, the transverse abdominis, the obliques, and with our attention to the shoulder blades, your latissimus dorsi muscles working in your middle back. The action is straight knees lifting from the hips into full hip extension while adding a squeeze through the inner thighs. And we're going to do one more lift. Good. Now keeping the thighs lifted, bend at the knees, flex at the ankles, and 10 pulses, taking the soles of the feet up to the ceiling, keeping the curve of the lower back unchanged. So again, the work is happening at the top of the thigh, the bottom of the glute, right along where we call the panty line squeeze, where the elastic of the panty would sit at the back of the thigh. Once you've done your 10 pulses, you can lower your legs and let the ring come out from between your ankles. And at this point, we're going to come off of the Bosu and onto the side. So we're going to press down into the ring so that the shoulder blade muscle, the latissimus dorsi, gets a little stimulus to engage. We're going to take the top leg and reach it longer than the bottom leg, and that creates a little space between the waist and the floor. That's a really important space that we want to maintain as we go through the movement. We're going to start with a leg lift. So the movement is going to be an exhale to lift the leg with pointed toe, pressing down into the ring, and an inhale to lower the leg with flexed foot. The rhythm of your breath is the rhythm of the movement. The things to focus on in this exercise is the maintenance of the space between the waist and the floor, the maintenance of that feeling of lengthening the top leg throughout the movement, and the pressure into the ring as you press down, making sure you're connecting and reconnecting with that armpit muscle, the latissimus dorsi. About 10 repetitions of this exercise should be sufficient. And once you've done your 10th repetition, we just lower the leg about halfway down, keeping the flexed foot, and go into circles. Now through here, you just keep the breath constant. You keep the tightness around the waist constant. You can pulse the presses into the ring, or you could just press consistently into the ring. About 8 circles is good in one direction, and then you switch to the other direction, pointing the toe as you switch direction, but still reaching through that leg, tightening through the waist, deeply connecting and reconnecting with your abdominal muscles through your breath, and checking into that shoulder. Then you let your leg rest down for just a moment. You're going to feel that residual sort of warmth, that workout in the top hip muscle, so we give it a moment to recoup. Then we're going to bring the leg up for the side kick, flexing at the ankle, keeping ankle and knee right in line with hip socket. We're going to bring the leg forward with the inhale breath, pressing down into the ring, and exhale, pointing the toe, bringing the leg back. As you flex forward, you're going to have more range of motion than you will taking the leg back. Anatomically, we've only got a little bit of hip flexion, about 10 degrees, but we've got a lot, hip extension is 10 degrees, but the hip flexion, we've got between 90 and 120, depending upon your hamstring length. Make sure that pelvis stays nice and steady throughout the movement. And again, 5 to 8 repetitions will be perfect for this movement. So that's a nice little workout. You get it done in under 15 minutes. Make sure you do both sides of your body and give yourself some nice deep breaths towards the end. Thank you so much for watching.